What's up everybody, Bandit here. So it is a nasty day outside and it looks like we're going to be here in the garage today, but that's alright because we have a lot to get done to the Tacoma. So we're going to get started here and wipe everything down with the Meguiar's Ultimate Quick Detailer and a microfiber cloth just to get some of the leftover road residue off, and then we'll go ahead and dive into the project for today. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we got the truck here fairly clean. Obviously there are still a couple dirty spots here, but it is wintertime, not the easiest time of year to have a clean truck. So go ahead here and jump into the rest of it. So we have some fishing line out, we have a hairdryer out, pistol power. And we're going to go ahead and take off the remaining decals here that came from the factory. Both the bed decals here, the charity off-road badge, and these Tacoma lettering here on the door. I hope you can see that. I know the lighting down here is not the best, and I'll show it to you here again in a second, but these are just plastic dipped. They have been plastic dipped here for really about a year and a half or 2 years, I believe, and overall I think it really held up well. Still think it looks great, and I would definitely recommend the plastic dip, especially for the price of the modification. Very, very cheap. So we'll go ahead here and get started. Alright guys, so for this decal here, it is just stuck on with adhesive. Actually, this side is the one that came directly from the factory. If you remember from some of my other videos, my other side of the truck is actually the one that got hit. So this decal is a little bit older. I figured this one would be a better one to show you all, since this is kind of representative of what a lot of them would be. So my truck was built in March of 2016, so it's been on here roughly 2.5 years or so. So it should be easily able to come off, but it is going to take a little bit of work. The best thing that I've seen is to warm it up here with a hair dryer. If you have the Conair Pistol Power 1250, that is for best results, obviously. But I'm sure any other hair dryer would do. But we're just going to warm all this up to loosen up the adhesive and then start peeling it away. Alright guys, so as you can see here, there is still a lot of adhesive left over after removing the decal. So I'm not sure if I didn't wait and get the decal warm enough to release all of that adhesive, or if the hairdryer we're using just didn't get as warm as what we were expecting. But there are two household things that you can use to remove this adhesive. Now the first one is fairly obvious, and that is Goo Gone. A lot of people use Goo Gone for a lot of different things, and as you can see here, it is very good at removing a lot of different sticky adhesives or caulk, a lot of different things, but it is safe and fast working on most surfaces. Now I'll go ahead and look at the other one, and that is WD-40. Now WD-40 can be used for a lot of different things, but most people don't think to use it to remove adhesive. So we're going to test both of these things back to back here and see which one works better. And this will just be used for this comparison. You wouldn't need to do this on your own truck. But for this right side here where the 4x4 is, we'll go ahead and spray that with a little bit of WD-40. And for this other side here, we'll go ahead and hit that with the Goo Gone. Try to keep this WD-40 from running all over my paint. And with a little bit of elbow grease, we'll see how all this stuff comes off. Here, but to me the Goo Gone side appears to be removing a good bit faster than the WD-40 side. This part of the sticker was stuck on a little bit better, but I started here kind of in between the X and 4, and as you can see it still has a lot of adhesive left over. Move over here to the Goo Gone side though, it is removing the adhesive really, really well, and overall I think maybe even mixing the two of these might be the best option. And I'm sure there are all kinds of other adhesive removers, but I just want to test out two common household things that you might have to get some of these adhesives off. Be sure to leave your ideas in the comments below about what might take this adhesive off a little bit better. So we finally got all of that adhesive all off the truck, but there is a little bit of the oil and residue left over from both the Goo Gone and the WD-40. I ended up using kind of a combination of the two, and between the two of them and a little bit of extra heat, it did get all of it off. So it is kind of a time-consuming process. I wouldn't expect to get this done too quickly on your own truck. I'm sure there are a lot of better ways to do this, but this is what I found to be one of the most common ways on Tacoma World, and I think certainly more heat from your hair dryer. And I also have some heat coming off my work light here that you might be able to see. But overall, that combination works pretty good. So go ahead and clean all this up with some car wash soap and move on to the rest of it. So with everything washed and dried now, I think it turned out really nice. There's no adhesive left on the truck. Some people have said that there might be a little bit of ghosting, meaning since the paint under the sticker was not subjected to all the elements, that would remain fresher paint, and the rest of it might fade a little bit in the sun. I see very, very little signs of that. Obviously, when we get it out in the sun here on a nicer day, we might be able to see a little bit more. But overall, I'm very, very happy with the result. It did take a good bit longer than what I expected, but overall, I'm very happy with the cleaner look on the truck. So now we'll go ahead and put a little bit of wax on it. I prefer Meguiar's Tech Wax 2.0. And we'll go ahead and rub that on the area where we just disturbed. So on this side, I really tried to let everything heat up a good bit before I started peeling. And as I think you might be able to see, there is significantly less adhesive still stuck on there. Now, there is still a good amount, but it is less than what we were dealing with in the first place. So we'll go ahead and try to get all this cleaned up here on this side. Alright guys, so while we're doing all the debadging, we're going to go ahead and get rid of these Tacoma door letters. Now you've seen me do this in the past, and basically what you want to do, these things are stuck on with 3M adhesive tape similar to what Tough Skins uses. So you just want to start getting this a little bit heated up, and then you can snake behind it with a piece of fishing line and kind of cut that adhesive off. Then you'll go back with some Goo Gone or WD-40 or whatever you choose to use to get the rest of the adhesive off, and then you'll just follow the same steps that we used there for the bed. So all in all, these normally come off a good bit easier, so we'll go ahead and get down to that now. Alright, so now I've been able to get the fishing line all the way behind it, so we should just be able to pop this whole emblem right off, like that. And as you can see, a lot of the adhesive is still stuck on here. This should peel off pretty easy with a little bit of heat and a little bit of elbow grease. So here's a better look at how all of this Plasti Dip held up. You can see it kind of came off here, and I think that's from soaking in the Goo Gone for too long. But this one held up pretty nicely even with taking it all off. And as you can see around the edges, when I sprayed it on, it wasn't perfect. I don't think Plasti Dip really ever is. But overall, it's held up really, really nicely, and I am fairly impressed. I mean, for something that you spray out of a can for only a couple dollars, I think this turned out really nicely, and I wasn't ashamed at all to have this on my truck. Alright guys, so we're all finished up here. We do have both the door badges and the bed badges off of the truck. This did take a good amount of time. Obviously, if you had an extra set of hands, that would be great, because the key to getting all of this adhesive off is to keep the adhesive warm, either with a hair dryer. I would be a little bit hesitant to use a heat gun. You don't want to melt your paint or something like that. And you definitely can't do that with a hair dryer, especially when it's probably 30 years old like mine. But overall, it did get the job done. Now, we did use a good amount of Goo Gone and a good amount of elbow grease, but I'm very, very happy with the results. It has just a really clean look all the way from front to back. And actually, I don't have any of the remaining badges on my truck. So if you remember, if you have the stock wheels, you have a Toyota badge in each of those. Normally you would have a bed badge, or a tailgate badge rather, then the bed and the doors. Now all of that is off my truck, and I have the Bay Area Metal Fab grill. So even my grill is different from factory. But overall, I think this really has a nice clean look to it. I'm very, very pleased. And really, what we did today, that's not specific to the Tacoma. You can see here on the Colorado, that has a bed badge, also has a door badge. I'm sure it's a very similar process for each of those, but also another key to all of this is try to do this as early as possible if you want to do it. So, if you have a brand new truck, you are considering this, but you're not really sure, I would go ahead and take them off. It'd be easier to put new ones back on than it would be to get the old decals off after 4 or 5 years of owning your truck. I think the longer that any of these badges stay on there, the more brittle they're going to get and the harder they are to work with. But overall, I'm very, very pleased. Again, with a little bit of elbow grease, you can do a lot of stuff here on your Tacoma, and I think all of y'all would be very impressed with the results. So thank you all very much for watching. Have a fantastic week, everybody. Be sure and comment why you think we did all this, because there might just be something very interesting coming soon. But again, thank you all for watching. Catch you next time.